Hello, YouTubers. I'm Angela Logan, and this is Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. It is Hump Day, Wednesday, November 20th, 2019. Warm greetings from the high 10. Some of you who have just joined me on YouTube have not heard any of my updates on R. Kelly. You can go back to my earlier videos on YouTube where I discuss the scenarios involving Mr. R. Kelly and his criminal trials that are still in process as I speak. And I want to bring you all an update because I will also be updating you guys on the criminal cases that are involving Mr. Kelly. So this is a month old because due to the fact that I was engulfed in other cases that I discussed on here, I never brought you updates about Mr. Kelly, and I'd like to do that to keep you all abreast on everything that has been transpiring with him. And this one is R. Kelly brings in lawyer who specializes in plea negotiations. A veteran defense attorney who specializes in plea negotiations has quietly joined R. Kelly's federal case in Chicago as the embattled singer faces a 13-count indictment alleging he sexually abused underage girls. Attorney Jeffrey Steinbeck, who filed an appearance in the case over the weekend, told the Chicago Tribune on Monday. Now, mind you, this is a month old, but he asked to lend his expertise on how to deal with the high-profile charges against Kelly, not necessarily to resolve the case short of trial. I was brought in as another set of eyes, Steinbeck said in a telephone interview. He said he's since met with the singer several times at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in the Loop, and that's Chicago, where Kelly has been held without bond since July, to get a sense of who he is and how I may be of assistance. I did not meet a monster, Steinbeck said. I met a man who was hurting. He's done a great deal of good in his life. Steinbeck's emergence in the case is sure to raise eyebrows due to his reputation as a dealmaker whose experience and connections with the U.S. Attorney's Office have helped him negotiate drastically reduced prison sentences for clients. Among the clients Steinbeck has represented over the years, Scott Fowell, the former aide to Governor George Ryan, who provided crucial testimony against his boss, Stuart Levine, a political insider who became one of the government's key witnesses in the corruption investigation of former Governor Rod Blagojevich, and William Hanhart for Chicago Police Chief of Detectives, who pleaded guilty to running a mob-connected jury theft ring. Any deal with prosecutors in Kelly's case would be particularly thorny to execute since the R&B star is also facing a racketeering indictment in U.S. District Court in Brooklyn, New York, as well as separate charges brought in Cook County in February alleging the sexual abuse of 4 victims. If convicted in all 3 cases, Kelly, 52, could potentially face the rest of his life in prison. Steinbeck had not filed an appearance either in New York or Cook County cases as of Monday. Kelly's lead attorney, Stephen Greenberg, said Monday he was well aware of Steinbeck's reputation as a plea deal architect, but indicated that no such deals were currently in the works. Perhaps at some point we will need Jeff's particular expertise, Greenberg told the Tribune. At this point, we are certainly not working towards or contemplating a plea in any of his cases. But I think that as part of having a complete team, it's important to know what your risks are. Kelly, whose full name is Robert Sylvester Kelly, was charged in the federal indictment in Chicago with conspiring with 2 former employees to rig his 2008 child pornography trial in Cook County by paying off witnesses and victims to change their stories. In New York, Kelly alone was indicted on the charge of racketeering conspiracy, alleging he identified underage girls attending his concerts and groomed them for later sexual abuse. Kelly is also charged in 4 separate indictments in Cook County alleging he sexually assaulted 1 woman and sexually abused 3 minor girls. In addition, he faces prostitution charges in Minnesota for allegedly soliciting an underage girl nearly 20 years ago. Kelly has repeatedly maintained his innocence throughout his mounting legal woes. After the federal charges were filed in July, experts told the Tribune that any plea deal likely would have to involve settling his cases in all of his jurisdictions that he faces charges, what's known as a global resolution. That could take several different forms. Kelly could agree to plead guilty in one or two cases in exchange for the others being dropped, or plead to all of them in exchange for an agreed upon sentence. Coordinating a resolution between 4 prosecuting offices in 3 states could prove complicated. In the meantime, Judge Lawrence Flood, who is presiding over Kelly's 4 Cook County cases, has said he expects to proceed as if the other 2 are not pending. So that might be good for him. Okay, so Kelly is expected back in court in December. Meanwhile, he's currently set for trial on the Chicago federal charges in April, although U.S. District Judge Harry Leinenweber has acknowledged the date may have to be delayed. Any reference or that you need references for this information is found in the Chicago Tribune. The next information I'm going to give you is it's deriving from the Associated Press, and this is about Gloria Allred's statement for the bond that was denied for him a month ago. Naturally, he was upset, he was distraught, he feels stressed out, but as Miss Gloria Allred said, of course you would feel stressed. Most prisoners would feel stressed that are incarcerated in jail and or prison. The issue that his lawyer is stating about the visitation situation with the young ladies is that he can only have 1 female visitor per 90 days. So as you all know, he had 2 women that were living with him at the time before he was arrested, and so naturally only 1 can come see him every 90 days. Now his lawyer feels like this is not fair to him or any inmate, of course, and that it is 2019, so what is the problem? Now I had not heard of that information. That is news to me about the visitation, the 90-day visitation. But as Miss Gloria Allred said, well, hey, this is jail, you know. You can't expect to get everything that you want and have people come see you whenever you want because, you know, it is federal holding. So there you have it. And I'm assuming that is the reason why he cannot have, you know, the weekly visitors or whatever the standard is there at the jail in Chicago. It is because he's federal. So that, I guess this is why he can only get the female visitors every 90 days. So that was something I thought was very interesting. And the people who are filing the, I guess the suits or names who are in the suits against Mr. Kelly, they are relieved that he is still incarcerated and he will not be getting out. As I stated a month ago, went to court, bond, no bond. Also, there was an issue of him not showing up, but he allegedly had told his lawyer to have that hearing, have his presence waived, but somehow the lawyer received it as a no-show. And most of you, I don't know if some of you saw the Surviving R. Kelly documentary that was done on TV. It was a very poignant piece. Some people don't believe the allegations from some of the women. You're entitled to your opinion. As my opinion goes, anyway, just wanted to give you all that information, both from Associated Press and the Chicago Tribune. And I'm following up a month later. Sorry for that, for those who were trying to follow the R. Kelly story with me months ago. But as I stated, I got busy with these other current cases. But I will be bringing you an update on Jussie Smollett and Mr. R. Kelly and the other cases that we discussed. As I've stated, I discussed other venues besides disappearances and or death. Just to let some of you know, I will be broadening my horizons because that's what I did when I originally uploaded videos to YouTube a couple of months ago. But with the R. Kelly situation, he's still in federal holding. As you see, he is facing counts in other states besides the state of Illinois. So he is facing charges in Minnesota and New York. And my understanding, I had once read that there were some things stemming out of Detroit, Michigan as well. So I don't know if he will eventually take a plea. We will see. But one thing I wanted to discuss was the fact that he can't have the ladies visit him, 1 female visit per 90 days. Now let's think about that for just a second. The fact that he has these 2 women that he has been living with, dating, whatever, and now only 1 can come every 90 days. So I would think that would cause some friction. Excuse me. take these off because I no longer need them since I'm not reading these information. But I find it interesting that wouldn't that cause some type of conflict? You've got your two girls that you're smitten with in love or whatever the situation is, and now you have to choose which one can come see you per 90 days. Okay, now I think he has one that is his pick. That's the one that does the most talking, as you saw in the interview with Gayle King on the CBS Morning Show. And I think that one is the orchestrator. And I just think it's interesting. Every 90 days, he only gets to see one every 90 days, whichever one he chooses, of course. But I think that would cause conflict with the ladies. And for some of you who do not know, R. Kelly's rent has been paid up at the Trump Tower in Chicago up to December of 2019. Now, what the status will be as of January 2020, I do not know. I have not seen an update in any of the online articles. And if I get that information, I will surely bring it to you. But that is something to think about as well. You have these women who now may be facing eviction from this place if the rent is not paid for the next month or months, because I don't know what type of rental agreement he has with the Trump Tower management. But as I stated a few months ago, it was revealed that the rent was paid up to December of 2019. So I don't know the status of the rent agreement for the following year. But let's just say no money has been paid, because our understanding is that he does not have any money. That's why he had a young lady outside of Chicago, pay a bond, help with his bond, which he ended up going back to jail. And that lady wanted to get her money back. I stated that in one of my earlier videos, if you all would like to backtrack for information. That lady who put up the bond in the earlier case of the year, well, as she stated, she sent one on her behalf to the courts saying, hey, I didn't know he had other charges when I paid this bond. So I want my money back, blah, blah, blah. But the judge let her know, hey, you have to follow procedures and show me just cause for why your money should be given back. You should have read the following statement that you signed, that there is no guarantee that you will get your money back. So that was an interesting tale that came about a few months ago. Now here is the end of the year has arrived, and the ladies still live. The two girlfriends still live at the Trump Towers, to my knowledge. And so will they be able to stay there the following year? Because as we see, Mr. Kelly does not have any adequate funds to pay rent there, pay for the girls' upkeep, personal living, lawyer fees. And the fact that this new lawyer came along, I found that interesting, because I thought, well, how is he going to pay him? How is he paying the first lawyer? So, it's a very interesting tale, the saga surrounding Mr. Sylvester Kelly, because it's like someone was kind enough to pay a bond, but now they wanted that money back because you had got other charges. Now you've got a new lawyer coming along who has obviously been deemed a deal maker as far as pleas in criminal cases. And then the two young ladies who live in the Trump Tower, what will be the outcome of those ladies living there, their relationship with Mr. Kelly? Because we already know that if you don't have anywhere to stay, love will no longer be blind. Yeah, I can I'm gonna bring the commentary to you here. Love will no longer be blind, you see, because let me tell you something. There's nothing like eating and sleeping and slumbering and going about your merry way. But when there is no money, then what do you do? And that's one point I made a while back in my videos pertaining to Mr. R. Kelly. When it's all said and done, and let's say he goes to prison for the said charges, what is going to happen to these ladies? Are they going to finally wake up and realize that this funk fog they've been in was just what it was, a funky fog, and they were not living in the real world because they have yet to sustain themselves? They have yet to work, go to school, pay bills, make decisions for themselves on their own. And if worse comes down that they have to leave the Trump Tower in Chicago, then they will have to fend for themselves. And I think that's when the realization will hit them that I've got myself in something way too deep and ridiculous. Okay? I've made a spectacle of myself. And then having my family involved and rooting and ha and going on and going back and forth with the media and said stories and accusations of this and that. Was it worth it? Will they have to backtrack and then go back to their family for help? Because you see, the family is still wanting to help these people, these young ladies, from my understanding. And it would be a shame now that you have dispelled your parents, talked badly of them on a morning show, claimed that they tried to seek payment from Mr. Kelly, and then later, perhaps you may become homeless and nowhere to live, no funds, no job. Where will you go? Will you then have to put your tail between your legs and go to those same people that you spoke so cruelly of, who raised you and reared you? Okay? My opinion is that Mr. Kelly did just what the article stated here with the Tribune, that he baited these women and lured them in with help from his cohorts, and they left home and stayed with him with the idealism of a fabulous life with a famous musician. But I don't think they thought of the fallout down the road if things did not work out. Because I don't think they ever thought that Mr. Kelly would ever be indicted on any type of sexual or criminal charges. And so what then? Well, you then have to go back and ask these same people, your parents, for help. I do believe he is guilty on many charges of sexual assault against minors. I think he was cruel to some of the women who lived with him, whether it was by choice or not, whether they willingly went or not. Those who were above age, I'm going to speak of the ones above age. I think he was cruel to some of those women. I think he is a dominant person. I think he is narcissistic. Okay? And that's my opinion, because he knew better. He has bedded a lot of young girls underage, and I don't think there's no doubt in my mind that he has done this behavior. Too many people have spoken on the fact that he has done it, and people who work with him, a few have come out and admitted that yes, he had talked to young ladies, bedded them, and had them stay at his home, which is wrong. And naturally, we know that children go out and run amok in the streets and different places, and they do not tell their parents where they are going. As we learned in the Surviving R. Kelly series, one girl came and went, but she was a child. She was a minor. It's different. He knew better. It didn't matter if she liked him or not. He was famous. She was a kid. Now, as far as the older women who participated, that was their business. It was their business to also continue to go back and forth, knowing he was cruel and mean to them. Some of you judged one of the ladies who was the DJ, I think, in Houston, Texas, why she would keep going back, flying back. But it's like a lot of things we do in life. You beat your head against a rock knowing it hurts, but you still keep beating your head. You understand? You're hoping for a different result, but you can't get a different result. But you continue on foolishly anyway. Some of you feel like that wasn't abuse, but I tell you, people do this behavior every day, that women continue to be involved with men that do not mean them well, do not treat them well, demean them mentally, physically, verbally, sexually, and they still contend with that gentleman despite his, ratchet behavior. The only reason why this case gets flack and criticism on both sides is because Mr. Kelly is a famous musician. So some people feel like, well, they're asking for it, they want it, they're chasing him, blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of women would love to have been pursued by a famous man. Now, you didn't know how he was because you never met him. So you followed suit. And then once you got involved, you saw, he's not this nice guy. He's not this guy I thought he was. But he couldn't be the guy you thought he was because you did not know him. And some, as I stated, who were legal, continued to date, sleep with him anyway, knowing how ratchet he was in his behavior. And yes, that was a choice. But you all know that women do this all the time when the man is not a famous man. Okay? With all the sexual innuendos, all the things that they have stated he liked sexually and wanting them to be involved with other women. I'm sure a lot of those women didn't want to go along with that. And they didn't have to. But I am not them. That was the choice that they made. That was their choice. But as I'm stating, women do these things every day with men, and nobody knows about it because the men are not famous. But a lot of women put up with shenanigans and buffoonery and ratchet behavior from men. You don't know about it because they're not famous. Sometimes you do know and hear things. But it's not a big deal because they're not R. Kelly. Until the next video, I will be bringing you an update on this story and any information pertaining to Mr. Sylvester Kelly, and any other updates I get on other said stories that I have discussed here on this channel. I thank you for watching, subscribing. Thank you for my new fans. I am humbled and grateful for the support, and I will be back with another video. You guys stay safe, mind your children. Ladies, be careful. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.